And thanks for staying with us. Officials from the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, says there are about 90,000 Nigerian refugees in Cameroon. The UNHCR also disclosed that the refugees from Adamawa and Borno states are safe and will return home soon. Well, I have migration expert Emmanuel Okonkwo joining me right now on the news. Good to have you to share his thoughts, of course. And also joining me from Abuja is international law expert Ayodele Akenroye. Good to have you on the news. Let me start with you right here in the studio, Emmanuel. The UNHCR actually says that the northeast states are safe enough for people to return. But it's one thing for us to hear that. Yes. It's another thing to actually have confidence that everything required for those people to live a normal life again when they do come back is in place.
Yes,
do you have such concerns?
I do have concerns. I'm not quite sure they're the ones to tell us that the northeast is safe. I think what we need to be very sure of is to make sure that we're not bringing these folks who have gone through a traumatic time and maybe out of some patriotic zeal, let's get them back. No, I think we need to be very sure that the place is really safe. And if if we are not sure of that, then there's really no point bringing them back home. Yes.
And I wonder what would be the option then, Dr. Ayodele Akenroye, if, according to my guests here in the studio, if it's not safe enough for these people to return, what would be the options? The UNHCR says it is waiting for the go-ahead of the Cameroonian authorities for this repatriation or evacuation of refugees to begin to happen. And they're calling on the Nigerian government to reach out to the Cameroonian authorities. What concerns do you have, if any?
Thank you for that. First of all, before they can come in, just to echo what the other commentator has said, the place where they're coming to has to be safe. There has to be access to facility, good water, good sanitation services, basic health facility, and most importantly, there has to be security in place where the Nigerian government has to put in place that security so that they can come. If those services are not available in terms of them being able to access the farm, to go have some economic activity, or if they cannot have that basic security, I think they shouldn't come back home. And again, I want to echo back the tripartite agreement that the Nigerian government and the Cameroonian government and the UNHCR signed in 2017 that says it's going to be voluntary. If Nigerians don't want to come back from Cameroon, they can't force them back. They can, and I think that is what Cameroonian government has been doing, and it's totally illegal. It's something that the Nigerian government should speak up and say that this is not acceptable. I understand that the UNHCR has spoken up, has said that this is not acceptable, and again, I would think the Nigerian government ought to echo that and keep echoing it to the Cameroonian government that you can't force them back until we can provide adequate security for them, we can provide water for them, we can provide food for them, we can provide medical services for them, and also we can guarantee that they can go back to their farms to do economic activities. Until those things are in place, they should stay in Cameroon.
All right, let me bring it back to the studio here. Emmanuel, don't forget that the federal government only just set up the Northeast Development Commission with a seed money of about 10 billion naira.
True.
Isn't that good enough?
Well, it is, but these things take time to be done. You know, you've got this commission set up, but then it's going to take time to get those facilities in place. And I think that anything worth doing is worth doing well, and delaying them just for a few months whilst the commission gets all these facilities in place will be the right way to go. My problem is that out of some patriotic zeal, how can we have Nigerian refugees in Cameroon? We might just rush into bringing these folks back, and they go from frying pan to fire. Yes.
90,000 of them, and that might just be an official figure. Dr. Ayodele, what future do you think lies ahead for these refugees as they come back home? What are the chances of them returning back to their normal life? Though some of them have said they're willing, about 4,500 or so are saying they'll be happy to be in places like Adamawa, for example.
Okay, I think the chances are, we can't predict what their chances are, But if the security threats in those affected areas are still there, if Boko Haram is still attacking people over there, then it's not, they don't have any future coming back, because again, they are going to be displaced, or they might be recruited by Boko Haram by itself. So what I think we should focus on is whereby we can actually integrate them back in other parts of Nigeria, not only in northern part of Nigeria. You can move them to Abuja, you can move them to the eastern, for those that choose to go back to those places. But again, we understand the sentimental value people have in terms of, how do I describe it, their ancestral land, where they have lived their life. And I think it's incumbent on the Nigerian government to make sure that they are safe. Those places are there for them to go back if they choose to go back. And again, I go back again to reference the tripartite agreement, which mentioned the fact that these refugees coming back can decide where they want to go to. The government has the responsibility, the Nigerian government has the responsibility to help them to reintegrate to wherever they want to go to. If so, if they want to go to Adamawa, I believe that is something that should be accommodated and should be facilitated, and they should have, at least, they should not be placed at risk wherever they go to, whether Adamawa or back to their ancestral land.
All right, let me re-echo that word you just used, accommodating. How welcoming do you think these communities, both in Adamawa, Borno, and other northeast states will be, you know, to these refugees? What do you think should happen in terms of maybe enlightenment to let those people understand that, look, these people need you to open your arms to them?
True, but if there are scarcity of resources in these places, and the folks who are there think these guys are coming in to put more pressure on what we have, then they're not going to be welcoming. What needs to happen, obviously, is enlightenment. But then you need to provide more facilities in these places that you want to settle them, so the locals don't think, well, we haven't got enough for us. And then here you are bringing. So it needs to be an integrated, well thought of thing, not some ad hoc, just bundle them back home. No, these things have to be thought about. Yes. All
right, that's a point that's been stressed over and over again. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Emmanuel Okonkwo for joining us, migration expert, and Dr. Ayodele Akenroye for joining us on the news. Thanks so much.